Hello, I'm your friend Dylan. And Chris, do I appear to have a cloud above my head?
I don't see a cloud, but I do see something sprouting up out of your hat. Are you in a good mood or are you a Pikmin?
I'm in a good mood today. And hello everyone. Welcome back to Your Friend Who Likes Games. This is a podcast about playing video games, and this is your friends who like games today. We have a new kind of addition here. I've never had a guest, and I'm excited to host Chris from Honest Indies. Chris, how are you?
Hello, I am pretty good. Thank you for having me. I got this cat mug with some very lukewarm coffee, and I'm doing well.
Lukewarm's not bad. I appreciate the gulpability of a lukewarm
This
coffee,
is true. It is easy
especially
to
if you
drink at this
especially
temperature.
if you need it. Yeah, and I'll admit I've never played a Pikmin game. I feel like I might like it, systems wise, but that's as we've talked online. I've kind of been like unpacking a past I never had. Like playing a lot of like Nintendo stuff, like visiting all the Kirby games, and Pikmin might end up on that list of curiosity of just like I've never tried this, so let's give it a go. But
I've never
yeah,
beaten a Pikmin game, so that's my Pikmin baggage. I've
I
never finished one, but I've played all of them to various degrees. They're delightful. I would recommend
yeah,
trying them sometime, but I would
sure,
skip the first one. The first one
okay,
would be the one that would have the most pushback and
okay,
is the most rigid, where you have a specific timeline, and if you aren't doing things well throughout that calendar, you just simply can't beat the game in the end, which could be a bummer if you
oh
played it for 20 hours. So
yeah,
maybe
right.
skip the first one,
Hey,
but play any of the others.
I'm pretty okay with not finishing games. If I
That's
get
fair too.
a chunk out of it, and I enjoy it, then I that might be my ADHD talking. Just kind of like I'm cool with like there's just so many, so it's okay to like for me to like move on to the next thing. But yeah, and as we already kind of naturally started, the show usually starts with some small talk, and Chris and I both had some game releases to talk about. I wanted to bring up a few games just to add to your wish list or check out um, and see what's going on. But I talked this morning about and just kind of been seeing it on Instagram. Just kind of fell into my algorithm. Soda powered penguin, and this looks to be a sort of precision platformer that mixes the likes of like a Celeste, maybe Pepper Grinder with that sort of like digging into the ground or drilling in and popping out and kind of breaching. And then you had mentioned like some Sonic vibes going
At
on
least in part of the trailer. I haven't played the demo because you introduced me to this game minutes ago.
minutes ago. I
But I
know,
know it
I know.
mentions like momentum powered as well, kind of in the
Yeah,
description, because you just have soda kind of blasting you along like a jetpack almost. It seems like a
yeah.
wild idea, but probably very fun.
I my biggest hope was that it would be smooth. And my biggest hang up with Sonic games, and I didn't really realize until like now and trying to play them now, is the kind of abrupt ending. Like you get momentum and then that sort of like bang like of the rings, and that's hard. And I know precision platformers really, I think, rely on like a quick restart too. If you fail something, I liked how Celeste was just like bam, right back to it. So crossing my fingers and hoping that that would be like sessionable in that way. And the next would be I've been seeing about this game called Mono Moon, and Mono Moon seems to be like, at least in my mind, like the maybe like a Hollow Knight for the rest of us. That might be a big brushstroke. Like, um, how are you with Metroidvanias?
It's one of the genres I barely touch. I
Same.
think it's because I didn't play them as a kid. I also didn't
Okay.
play that many platformers as a kid,
Okay.
especially 3D platformers. Like we had an N64, but I somehow never owned Mario 64. So there's been
Wow.
some genres that have been kind of tough for me to get into,
Yeah.
and just
It's
the
interesting.
repetition of going to the same places a lot, plus usually having some intense platforming or combat or both. It's been a lot for me to actually see through. I played the first Hollow Knight for like 2 hours, so that's where I'm at with Metroidvanias.
You have an ally, or I have an ally. Oh my goodness.
We both
I
have
feel like I
allies.
feel so alone in that sometimes. Like I know Hollow Knight is very coveted, and I tried it, but yes, as soon as I would walk off screen and then come back, and all the enemies I just beat are right there again. It's interesting in the 3D space. I'm almost okay with that, but for something about 2D, like I think maybe my brain is just so like Mario goes left to right, like we going back and like uncovering a map seems tricky. And this game Mono Moon looks almost like kind of gives me Animal Well vibes, but not as like intense of a like discovery kind of thing. Well, like maybe not as intensive systems, right? Like, but it looks like you're kind of guided by this like moonlight to uncover paths and solve some light puzzles. And I did see an overhead map where that had like not everything uncovered, and that was a little bit of a red flag for me. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I have a hard time with them, but I mean, a lot of times in this section of the show, I kind of might promote something that I might not play, but
It's on
games are
everybody's
games,
radar
man.
now.
That's true. That's true. And then the last one I want to point out is and shout out to Cozy by Joshi. Shantytown was one that I discovered through their work online, and Shantytown looks to be one of those kind of sessionable sandboxy building games that fit the likes of like Summer House, Tiny Glade, where you kind of have a lot of artistic assets to just put into place and then create a vibe. How do you feel about like those types of games? Do you session those every now and then?
I definitely dabble in them. Like I've played Tiny Glade for probably 3 or 4 hours, but it was
Yeah.
just one week of like I'm gonna sit down for a little bit and just have a few different little diorama castles and things and just
Yeah.
chill.
Yeah, I like that vibe, and I like to own those types of games for those moments where I just go, I'd like to session this for a little bit and then catch a vibe and be like, all right, I'm cool. And I think the hard part for me with those is they give a lot of freedom but lack any sort of like pull in regards to objective. Um,
Which is kind of the
and
point of them, which I
I
get, but I
know,
also I want to have like here's a structured mode or here's like a little
yeah,
bit of a checklist you can do because I'm also
yeah,
not a creative enough person with stuff like that where I'm like making these immaculate or amazing things or recreating real life stuff in this world. Like I'm not that person. So I'm like I'm just doing this
no,
little thing, but could you maybe have some other guidance on like what I can do making these little things?
yeah. It's I'd almost value if those types of games would almost guide you to be that kind of creative, like where like by prompting you, you end up making something you didn't expect, and then you're just like, oh, how about that. But yeah, the kind of self-motivated creativity in those kinds of games could be a little tricky, but I like the vibes. I like the kind of like I'm looking at like it's almost like a villa, like, are you building some sort of city into a hill, um, and yeah, and if they're inexpensive enough, nice to just kind of have and dabble in, like you said. But yeah, those are mine, and I know you had a couple things to share.
Yeah, there's just a few indies coming out this week that I wanted to highlight for a moment as well. So if anyone is listening or watching this, it means that Hosey has released. It's coming out on March 30th, and Hosey is a very cozy game. It's one of those where you're cleaning a lot of little
Yeah.
dioramas and rooms, but it has an incredible art style and it seems remarkably polished. It has just lots of little fun details and Kim Chica has a very fun playthrough of the demo, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of these that have been releasing, particularly since Unpacking came out, which is fantastic. But Hosey
Yeah.
seems like it might be one of the best of the bunch, so I'm looking forward to
Cool.
that. Then the
Yeah.
very next day, March 31st, is Ratcoin, Coin Pusher Roguelike,
Oh
which is
yeah.
a ridiculous game.
It
I am not really
looks fun.
one. Yeah, it is fun. I'm not a coin pusher person. I adore
Hmm.
Balatro, but I haven't played the other Balatro likes or the like.
Yeah.
This is the Balatro of X other game. But
Sure.
that's also kind of what this is. It's Balatro for coin pushers with a raccoon.
Okay.
And it is a little chaotic on the screen sometimes because, unlike real life, you're unlocking stuff. You're having different
Yeah.
things to fire and just lots of color and stuff happening. But I had a really fun time with the demo, and I think my partner's
Okay.
gonna love it. So whether I
Yeah.
play more of it or they do, someone in this apartment is gonna own the game.
Sweet.
And then just a couple days later, Fishbowl releases on
That's
Steam and
right.
PS5 on April 2nd. Unless you pre order on PS5, then you get it early. Or
That's
if
right.
you're lucky enough to get codes from Wholesome Games like we did. So
I
thank you,
know,
Wholesome
I
Games.
know. It's funny. I just realized I hadn't even. I mean, the show title will indicate what we're talking about, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. Deeper into it. But yeah, a lot of cool releases this week. You mentioned like Balatro, like, and that's a genre I haven't really found my way into. I tried Slots and Daggers, and I that one didn't click for me as much.
That is one that I binged in a day. I played it for six
Really?
hours and 100% it.
That's cool. Yeah,
Which
I don't
also, you
know.
mentioned Summer House earlier. Sorry to cut you off
Yeah.
there. Same
No, go ahead.
developer. Slots and Daggers, Summer House, same dude.
That's right. That's right. I was kind of. I think that's where my interest lied first. I was like, oh, cool. They made another game, and it did look cool. And I don't know. I don't know. Like it's funny. Like those feel. I don't want to say dirty. That's too much. Like
Some of them
but
maybe
like
are, because a lot of them are also about or gambling in some way. Even a coin pusher game in an arcade, you're gambling because you're trying to get the most tickets to go buy a thing.
yeah,
So yeah, there's a little undercurrent about them that feels a little sketch, but some of them are also just
just
really
a little
fun.
bit. But I like the like idle clickers though, like Digsium and things like that have that like number go up. Like I know that that's like tailored to like a specific thing, and I'm very okay with. I'm just like, yeah, I know that this is all set in stone already, but like give me progression. Like I love, I am all about progression. But yeah, and we talked a little earlier, a little bit of a sadder note to mention today.
Yeah, so this week it's been somewhat of a slow news week for indies specifically, but
Sure.
just yesterday for us, Ivy Road, the developers of Wanderstop, announced the studio was closing this week on the 31st. They had
Yeah.
posted maybe in January that funding for the next game was just not really coming together. Some staff was laid off then, and then
Oof.
within a couple months, it's like, yeah, they're still not getting the funds, and the
Yeah.
studio's gonna be gone.
It's so hard to like, especially in the indie space, with like to create an environment that people can be like openly creative and supported in that, like we have to make money to do these things and exist, but it's hard when something so beautiful as Wonderstop. We know how much success it had, in the indie scope, and even in like AAA space, like people like talking about it, and then you know to hear that they can't continue, or the studio can't continue making games in that way. It's like it's a big bummer.
Yeah, it's a rough time for the industry when the makers of Fortnite can be laying off roughly 30% of their staff over a period of a year or so because they had laid off 800 people before and Epic
Yeah,
laid off over 1,000 recently.
yeah,
And for a lot of us, sometimes we hear about all the terrible things with AAA these last few years, and it's like, well, at least we got indies, but also indie
hmm,
funding and indie publishing is not in the most stable space either. So we're still always going to have indies, but
sure,
the people making them, the sizes of the studios, the size of the games, all of this is kind of up in the air how it will be changing.
yeah, yeah, no doubt, yeah. Uh, it just sometimes it kind of just unfortunately feels like holding on to what we can when we can, and then the uncertainty. I think it can be really hard. I empathize for creatives in that way, because you just want to make your stuff and be able to do so. So yeah. But did you have any others? Any other?
Well, a lighter indie news thing. Grave
Yeah, sure.
Seasons is a game that I've been
Oh, that's right.
following for like 4 years. Back in the before times when Twitter was Twitter and less of a nightmare, there was simply a tweet that was an idea for the game by Perfect Garbage before their previous game, Love Shore, even finished. It was like, oh, what if we did a thing that was
Yeah.
like a cozy farming sim, but murder mystery horror vibes? And now it's a game that's releasing on August 14th on Switch 1, not the 2, so
Oh,
I could play it there if I want to, because I don't own
hey,
a
hey.
Switch 2.
I like
PC,
that.
Xbox, PS5. And
Sure.
the trailer from this last week is fantastic. It is a game where you're going to be picking up like random plants and farming and stuff. There's going to be romance, but also every playthrough is going to have some killer that you need to figure out who they are, and it will be different for everybody all the time. So that is both a cool concept
So,
to me, and it's refreshing because that also means that the game ends. Like, I'm someone who's
yeah.
played so much Stardew over the years, and I've just,
Yeah.
okay, I've never gotten to even kind of like a story finish. I've never gotten that many in-game years in
You're
any of
right.
those, or any
No.
Harvest Moon that I've played since I was a kid. So
Same.
to
I
be
think
able to
I've
have
reached. Yeah.
an end in sight once you play the game is appealing to me too.
It is interesting that like so many games just become these like infinite things, and I can appreciate when a game's like I'm here to take a little bit of your time and then like be done, you know. But and not only that, but like it sounds like um the fact that like you said a different person could be the killer each time or each playthrough is so enticing, you know, like because then you know each playthrough will be unique in some way, shape, or form, and like how will that influence like dialogue and the way that you interact with people, and
Yeah.
it creates that curiosity. So
And it also makes
yeah,
the romance side of it more interesting. Because, like, okay, maybe the person you're trying to romance gets murdered or is the
right,
killer.
right, and then you're an accomplice. No,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, yeah,
I
that's
think
cool. I'll have
it'll
to check that
allow
out.
for some fun gameplay and some engaging conversation about the game too. So I'm looking forward to that.
Without without a doubt, cool. Yeah, so I think that's small talk, and we'll move on to our main feature today. We have both been really thankful to be able to play Fishbowl early through conversations and connection with Wholesome Games. They hooked us up with an early playthrough, and Chris and I spent some time this week kind of chatting back and forth and talking about the game itself. We had mentioned that it's coming out on April 2nd on both Steam and PlayStation 5. If you pre-order, you can play. Is it PlayStation pre-orders?
Yeah,
You can
PlayStation
play
pre-orders, it's 3 days early. So
3 days
I
early.
think once
Yeah,
this episode is up, pretty much.
yeah, right. So yeah, this if you're listening, it had just come out, or it's about to come out on April 2nd. And yeah, I personally have just been pinching myself with this opportunity. I've been very thankful to be able to see a game early and play it early and be able to talk about it with you here today. And you know, we can start a little bit about the devs. It's by a studio called imissmyfriends.studio, made up of two developers. And I'll just read what they sent us here. So, I Miss My Friends Studio is made up of two developers, Ria Gupti and Pratik Saxena. Previously, Pratik worked as a UX designer at a nonprofit, and Ria as a multidisciplinary artist and writer. And I think that's very evident in the game. Very cool. Fishbowl is their first ever game, beginning as a part-time project in 2021 and evolving into a full-time in 2023. Shortly after, Fishbowl was selected as a part of Sony's India Hero Project, the team based in Goa, India. And then a note about Wholesome Games as well. The publisher, yes?
Yeah, it's a Wholesome Games
Public
Presents title.
that Yeah. So Wholesome Games was founded in 2019 as a curator for artistic, uplifting, and emotionally resonant games. It has since grown into a global platform, including the digital showcase Wholesome Direct, which has reached more than 10 million viewers. In 2023, the team began supporting indie titles like Is This Seat Taken, Minami Lane, and Make Room through the Wholesome Games Presents publishing label. And for more information, you can visit wholesomegames.com. Yeah. So I think personally, like right away, Chris, I like playing this game. The pixel font, that fishbowl pixel font, kind of like glowing on the title screen with a little rain in the background. Like, what a cool vibe to open up to.
Yeah, I think it kind of sets the scene well. Like the
Yeah.
pixel aesthetic is fantastic throughout. I love all of the different iterations of portraits and the sizes of Alo, our protagonist. We're probably going to talk about a lot this
Yeah.
morning,
Sure.
and just having those rainy apartment vibes from the
Oh,
onset.
yeah. So this game is set inside of an apartment and also set during the pandemic. So
Without saying
you,
it's the pandemic. But yeah,
without saying
which
it's
is
the
interesting. They
pandemic,
never use the word pandemic. They never say COVID, but that's totally what's
you're
happening.
right. Yeah, you're right. And like such relatable language too. That was kind of hard to rehear sometimes. The like, well, maybe one day we'll get to go back out, or like when this is all over,
Yeah.
we'll go grab a cup of coffee. It's like, oh, like, and not only that, but the fact that the setting being in an apartment space, and like that's the only space you navigate, like throughout the whole game, and I like that. I felt that a bit, but back to the pixel art. I agree with you. I know this is where my brain is all over the place all the time. People listening know that, I think. But I really appreciated, and we kind of have those vibes going up here. The kind of you mentioned the pixel portraits. I I loved everybody's like snapshot of like their kind of room behind them,
Yeah.
to kind of communicate their personality a bit. I think that's something that the pandemic like really brought to importance. That kind of like self-expression through like what's behind you.
I got all of this stuff on the wall behind me in this little corner of a bedroom, kind of for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I love that, and because in communicating, um, this way via like a call, a visual call, which you do a lot of in this game. To kind of celebrate, not celebrate that, or just like nobody's. I liked that everybody's like backdrop was like really decorative. Like, I mean, the tea shop. I don't know. You might be able to say kind of a little bit.
It was still nice. Like I do think a lot of people's
Yeah,
backgrounds was commenting a little bit on the characters as well.
sure.
Whether it's someone who makes a bunch of DIY projects having a very kind of patchwork curtain behind them,
Yeah,
or a YouTube, but not calling it YouTube streamer having multiple DualSense controllers and a headset and camera and stuff behind them. Like just having that around just kind of further set the table for all those character interactions.
yeah. Like the circle light. It was a bit of a flex. Like the circle light, like multiple controllers, switch, like on the dock. Like a really cool looking one. But I I did value that kind of celebration, and the portraits themselves I thought were really well done, easy to connect to, and really vibey. Like the color scheme of the game itself, I, a lot of purple and teal, purple, pink, and teal, kind of going on.
Yeah, especially purple.
Yeah,
Alo's hair is purple multiple times throughout the game, comments on purple being her favorite color. And there's a lot of purple, kind of some neutrals in the apartment, and like very vibrant pinks and kind of
hmm
coral colors here and there. And my favorite thing about the apartment setting is not even the apartment itself, but what we're getting is kind of a top down view of it. And outside of it is just whatever weather is happening that day.
yes.
And in the morning, the lighting is different. It's very clearly like this is the early day, the sun's just up vibes. When it's
I,
super windy, that's coming through audio and visual. Same with the rain, the snow. It really reinforced the passage of time that was happening throughout the game.
yeah, and it's. I'm glad you mentioned that because that was one of my favorite parts too. Is the implied weather, but not. It didn't get in the way. You're still like very much like in the apartment, but like it was nice to like see the breeze or see a couple leaves floating in the background or some snow or rain. And yeah, it was interesting you mentioned the morning. Like, to me, and I think this was kind of intentional, like the morning felt like the only time where I knew what time of day it was in the game. Like, you saw like a little bit of sunlight coming through and like little specks, like those beautiful pixel specks of dust, like delicious, like delicious. But then like I found myself like did I forget to brush my teeth? Did I like I don't know what time it is, like what am I supposed to do? And then like I found myself like kind of looping through the day's tasks to get to a point where like I was allowed to go to bed, because I was like, because to my knowledge there's really no sense of like time in this game, right? Like a clock of sorts.
If there is a clock, I never noticed it. But yeah, I don't think there is.
And I think that aids that kind of isolating feeling, right? Like especially it made me think about the pandemic a lot and how days blended together.
Totally.
And that you're spending a lot of time in the same space, and just kind of like time and the structure of it didn't matter as much, and you kind of dipping into work whenever like you could. I mean, everybody had a very different like work situation, of course, but like that kind of it definitely brought it back for me. But do we want to we can talk about I think the game structure a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Fishbowl is a narrative game about isolation and personal growth, grief, and in doing that, the day-to-day is you wake up as Alo in a new city with a new job, fresh out of college, away from family, even before COVID hits, and you're just kind of going about your little daily tasks in the apartment, plus working remote. So every day you wake up, you have to press a button to wake up, I think twice, like once to wake up, once to get up. And then it's like
sheets for one, and then like out of bed. Yeah.
And then you kind of have free reign on which things you want to do, minus the ones that are locked for story reasons and unlock over time. So it is, you're brushing your teeth, you're using the bathroom, you're on your phone when you're on the toilet. You have button prompts for a lot of these things. If you're just like up, down, left, or sometimes just pressing and holding something, pressing a button once, doing your showers and stuff, making food. Most of it in the early game is just microwaving things. So you're just doing these kind of like simple things around your apartment that we just in life do every day, plus you're working.
Yeah. And I really loved the kind of how those button prompts kind of were definitely intentional and to mimic like the process of making a cup of coffee, or like the going to the bathroom, like the 4 taps I think of the button to like implicate like scrolling of sorts, or like, you know, being on your phone.
The teeth brushing one of like, okay, you're going left and right a bunch, you're going up and down a bunch.
Yeah. And did you find yourself like memorizing any of those?
Not like, many of them. Some of them it was just, if you pile up the dishes enough and then you're doing dishes, it's like 7 or 8 different sequences of things, and I'm just not thinking about that at all. But definitely the teeth brushing and some of the coffee stuff, because the coffee's not the same every time. Sometimes you're making an iced, sometimes you're making a latte, and you have latte art in this little screen. So some of them, they're changing it up enough too, where you can't really memorize it.
Yeah, true. And I have to say, as a coffee nerd, like I really appreciated that. Like to see like it almost felt like different times of day warranted different cups of coffee. You know, it's like afternoon was like or like after work, like I'll grab an iced coffee, or you know, having time for a treat, you know, make yourself a latte. Like
in my headcanon, whenever I had coffee late in the day, it was decaf. I don't think there's a way to like show that, but I'm just like, I'm allowed to go to bed already, and I'm just not. I'm gonna say this is decaf coffee.
That's funny. Now, you know what's funny too with coffee? I have to laugh. Like a lot of the games, like prompts of doing dishes or grabbing something to eat, you end a lot of them by like hitting enter and then moving on. I don't know if you noticed, but like, for me, maybe I just noticed this, but like for coffee, it was like when you're done with your drink, you can just walk away. And I multiple times would make a cup of coffee and then proceed to accidentally make another one like right away. Yeah. And I was like, oh no. And then to a point where I did it on accident, like, well, to be a third time in a row. And Allah was like, that's enough. Two is plenty.
You can have 3 slices of toast in a row, though.
Nice.
You can have
The
three
toast was
toasts
fun.
a day, and the third
Yeah.
one has extra butter on it.
Okay. Now, were there any of those like daily tasks that I'm going to ask you that you liked to do,
Sure.
and then were there some that like you were like, okay, like exhale, got to do this again?
Overall, I have mixed feelings. Okay, first
Sure.
pause. I love the game. The
Yeah,
game is
yeah,
great, but I'm also
yeah.
going to be critical about a couple systems, and this is one of them where I have
Sure.
mixed feelings about the prompts and then about the mood system, which we'll be going into. And those two go
Yeah,
hand in hand, where many of the things in the department affect your mood, up or
yeah,
down.
yeah.
And doing dishes makes it better. Doing laundry makes
Right.
it better. Cleaning the floors makes it better. Binging a show, doom scrolling, that's negatively affecting your mental health.
Yeah,
But not just because it's a new day, I need to do these things, but for managing mood. And for me, I was trying to get it as high as possible, as fast as possible, and then keep it there. It's like I'm doing
yeah.
all of the things pretty much every single day, except for laundry, because sometimes it's not piled up enough for it to let me do
Right,
that.
right.
And so I think because I was doing it so many times, which many players will,
Mm-hmm.
when there were inconsistencies with it, that was a little grating to me. Like, you're making
Yeah,
button prompts for dishes and laundry, but you're not doing prompts when you're cleaning the floors. And Alo
fair. Yeah,
explicitly likes toast. Like, we'll say toast all caps every time she eats it. It comes up in conversation a couple of times, but eating
yeah,
toast doesn't affect your mood. But everything else you can eat or drink, from water to homemade cooking, like everything else does. So the few things
yeah,
where it's like, there's either no prompts here, but there are for most others, or this is
yeah,
one of the like 3 or 4 things that doesn't affect the meter, but everything else does,
yeah.
always threw me off mentally when I was doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like so the mood meter, you have this like meter above the screen that pops. Is it always there, or
It's
does it
not
pop up when
it's
it's
not
relevant?
always there. It pops up whenever it is like affected,
That's right.
and
So
it'll linger for a minute then too.
right. So there are events that you know you control, like Chris just said, to like go about and have your meter either filled or decline. And I think when the game started to give us like narrative pool that like we can't control, and then the mood meter just like draining like a ton, like I for me that was communicative of like I don't know if this mood meter like really matters, but more so just like a communication of like like this is how the main character's feeling, and then well I'll probably save that thought for the spoiler break that we will have later in this episode. But yeah, I don't know. Like, did you felt the weight of the mood meter, so to say?
I did, but partially it's because of the things you can or can't do depending on your mood. So
Fair,
when
fair.
you're not in a great mood and you interact with your phone, it is just like, hey, do you want to doom scroll? And you can't back out. You can't say no.
Right.
You're just locked into doom scrolling, making it worse. When you're in a really good mood, it's like, no, I reject it. I'm not even picking up my phone, and your mood gets better. So there's certain things you can and can't do in terms of interactions then, but also
Sure.
dialogue choices. Like
Yeah.
there's things that are going to be grayed out in every conversation just depending on where your headspace is at. And my
Mm-hmm.
preference would have been being able to do any of those things kind of any of the time.
Okay.
unless there were narrative specific reasons where it's like, okay, because of the way you've played, maybe you haven't tried writing poetry 15 days in a row. Like, then when it comes up, you can't select that option or something. But
Yeah.
having it being partially gated by this meter was also why early on I was like, okay, I want to make it better because most of the things I'm being able to choose are kind of neutral to downer dialogue.
Yeah.
And for the character's sake and for my sake as a player, I want to have a little more variety and some more hopeful moments
Sure.
because it's a pandemic and because in 2026 the world is insane. So it's like I want to lean toward positive vibes
Yeah.
most of the time, not every time, but I want to have the choice to do that. So I
Sure.
need to make sure that this cloud turns into a sprout and eventually a
Uh,
flower. I need to water
right.
myself enough with everything I'm doing in the apartment so that I can
And have
choose what
the
I want.
yeah, and have the power to do so. Yeah, I felt it. And I think maybe that was kind of what I was getting at with like the mood meter like not being as important or like it's. I think what I'm trying to say is it's like more autobiographical in that way,
Sure.
where like it's less about like our experience, but more like we're being put into that experience of like Alo is feeling this way because of grieving the loss of her grandmother.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Yaya yet.
Nah, but and you know, so therefore, like I think the definite hard part, and maybe I'm a pretty introverted person, so I can feel this way too. It was interesting to have those dialogue choices where like it's grayed out and it's communicating like if I felt better, I'd probably try to say this. And there are many times where I go, I wish I would have said that instead, or I wish I would have had the courage or the energy to say said thing. And then it almost creates those moments that we all have where we have a conversation with someone and we go, you play it back in your head and you're like, I should have, or I could have just done that. Like that would have been nice if this. And, so locking you into that to me almost it makes you feel it. And I think I had noted that like this is not a game I don't think I necessarily like enjoyed playing, but like it's an important game to feel, right? So in that kind of like autobiographical sense, and yeah, it interesting structure, in that like while and very fair from you to say like while playing this in 2026 I would love to have some hope, like
Yeah.
like that would be great. But you're telling me I'm not allowed, and that can certainly be frustrating as a part of like a way to play. Yeah,
Yeah. And then also affecting all of this, which we're getting to right now, um,
yeah,
is the other characters. So that takes
yeah,
place both with work. We're a
hmm
junior editor starting off kind of in a probationary period to vibe it out and see if they want to keep us around or not. So we're
sure,
interacting via video with at least one coworker a day, minus
hmm
Sundays when you don't work.
right.
And we're also taking video calls, like exclusively video calls in this game.
Always video
There's
calls.
no
Yeah,
audio. You're not texting. You're receiving texts every once in a while of like, "Hey, call me back when you can." But
yeah,
we're getting lots of video calls, which works beautifully for the storytelling and the characters. But then,
sure,
depending on how those calls go, that's also affecting your mood, in addition to the trajectory of the narrative as a whole.
sure. And I'll say anytime I got to work, I was actually quite relieved. Like one, I thought the work mini game was great. Like the kind of it has this like slotting. Um, I don't want to call it Tetris, but like you're kind of
Right.
slotting colored blocks into their appropriate place, and you need to click either up and down to make sure that they're in the right lane before they end up where they're supposed to go, or hopefully where they're supposed to go, and then you get a merit of like success or not, whether or not you um, did that correctly. And then not only that, but because that was fun, I really enjoyed that. But then like connecting, like actually connecting with people in some way, shape, or form was was really nice. And it was something that I look forward to because I also think being so isolated in the like apartment, I really look forward to any sort of connection at all. You
Totally.
know,
And in the
and
early
like narrate.
game, work is like
Yeah,
the only known reliable way when you know that's going to happen, because you don't know when you're
sure.
getting calls or who it's going to be. But it's like, okay, as soon as I sit down at this computer, where the only thing I can ever do with it is interact with a little ghost on the screen or work, like you know you're going to be getting character interaction.
Yeah. How did you feel about the mini game? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed all of the mini games. There's not a tremendous amount, but there is this
Yeah,
editing one that
yeah,
does give like Tetris vibes, but it's not a match 3, so that's where it's different. And the
right.
difficulty and speed changes depending on who you're working with. Like whenever we're working with the intern, there's only 3 lanes, but sometimes
Yeah,
there's
that's true.
6. And I really enjoyed it. I had a couple of moments throughout when I didn't fully understand when a new thing would be introduced. So eventually,
Oh,
edits and like notes can happen, which just is a little face popping up in one of the lanes, and you need to hit that before then finishing off the lane. And
yeah,
I thought the very first time that happened, it's like, oh, wait, like the color doesn't matter. I just need to get that. Like maybe it's even telling me you should put a different color here. That's what the note is. So the one
yeah,
time where I did like okay and not good or perfect was that one, because I
yeah,
had like 3 mistakes trying to make that happen. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
yeah.
unpacking boxes, whether it's
Oh, yeah.
Yaya's old things or packages we're getting. And then even later in the game, you get to ship things out to people. And that's
Oh,
much simpler, but I
yeah.
liked doing that too.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point to bring up too. So we kind of mentioned that the main character loses her grandmother and she feels a lot of like guilt and grief from that. And then there's a moment early in the game where you're talking to your mother and mom just can't handle like all the stuff left over from her mom, and your main character Alo says, I'll take it, like I'll look through it, like I can do that. And you already feel isolated in this apartment space, and then to receive this massive amount of boxes that quite literally obstruct your paths in your apartment, it made it feel more cramped and
Totally.
more like I definitely felt more like uh, anxiety from that, to have all of them. And also very clear early that like these are going to be around for a bit. Like this is the game structure, and you can maybe unpack one a day, and kind of chip away at the box. But like I think sets up for beautiful structure of the game to kind of revisit all of this stuff, that your grandmother had kept aside.
Yeah. And it's kind of a good time to just go further in the story if you're down.
Sure. Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
what I think is special, like genuinely special and fantastic about Fishbowl, is its storytelling. And it is having your grandmother pass away just a month prior and then unpacking all of those things. And it's someone you grew up living with. Like it was Alo, her Yaya, her mom, the 3 of them together. And
Yeah.
getting a lot of dreams and memories through sleep and then unpacking things. Those are the kind of 2 primary ways where we're getting to sit into Alo as a young kid's shoes, and getting a
Yeah.
combination of happy memories and some dark ones and some that a talking fish toy is trying to share with us as a good one, and then it ends up having an argument or something in it. Like all of that works so well, and
Yeah.
pretty consistently for me, like hit hard. Like I felt something during every dream sequence, every memory, or kind of
Yeah.
altered memory sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I again then leaned hard into that like autobiographical sense, and then really, um I really want to applaud the writing here, because I think a lot of us have those very like I applaud the vulnerability here to share what seems to be some, I mean, either really well written or very personal memories, you know? And it made me think about like instances that maybe I, as a kid, was feeling some sort of joy or like creating it by like distracting myself with said toy or thing, like they're very much doing in the game, but also feeling the pain of the room, you know, or like the adult implication that like I might not be able to understand quite yet, but I'm just a kid and I'm trying my best. And you know, it's funny, if I could share like one personal, and then we'll keep going. Like
Yeah.
it prompted me to think about like when I was a kid. Do you remember those like Pokemon like bouncy balls?
Absolutely.
That like
Yeah.
So I thought it was a goal to get them out. So they were like rubberized, and I spent hours in my grandparents' like patio, bouncing it as hard as I could on the pavement and rocks to try to break it to get my Jolteon figure to come out of the rubber.
I had a Vaporeon, one of those.
A connection. So like very cool, but like they kind of shoved me off of like, what are you doing? Hey, much love. So that was one of those moments where like they were having a serious conversation and then periodically being like, Dylan, be careful, stop doing that, you know. And then I would they're like, what are you doing, you know? So like again, it prompted just that level of vulnerability to create these settings that like have these areas that like we're trying to be a kid, but then like some real life things are happening.
Yeah, totally. And then within many of those memories as well, there's kind of a murky, gross, dark spot in the corner of the room. And
Right.
in some dreams, even, there's just kind of really dark, depressing, self loathing inner monologue, inner dialogue happening. And you're given, usually it's a choice, to face it or hide or run away or seek help. Every single time it was a dialogue option, I faced it. Every single time there was something in the room weird, I like interacted with it. I don't know if you even could finish those without doing it. I just, every time I'm like, I'm doing it.
Yeah, maybe not. It might be one of those things that prompts you to continue regardless of what you choose. But yeah, same. I was going to ask that, and that's cool. But continue.
Yeah, just that.
Yeah,
But
just
also,
that. Fair enough. Yeah.
Another thing I appreciated about those is we're getting to experience childhood with our close friends, who are also two of the people we get to regularly talk with. And my favorite character in the game is one of them, Zoo, who is
Zoo's so
a delight. She's so cool. She's a teacher in a seemingly pretty rural area, and a lot of the conversations we have with her are about this pandemic really messes things up for kids trying to learn, and not all of them will have access to the internet, and there's just a lot of chaos there that she is trying to initially like shoulder herself and try to figure out how to make things better. But I just thought she was such a cool and like very vibrant character. I love the little like tongue out reaction moments and stuff, and just getting to see like that character as a child too, always being like, I'm the teacher. Like there's a memory with a blackboard and she's like teaching the class and stuff. And I totally know people like that where they're a kid and they're like, this is the thing I'm gonna be, and it's just always their plan, and they are. And you are an educator, so I don't know if any of that hit extra hard for you.
It did. And actually, like, I personally have a whole lot of time with like, or a difficult time with like validation as an educator. It's not like a glorious profession. It's one that like it's just not looked upon and in society as like a cool thing, you know. Like it's important, but or at least I think so.
Definitely.
But it can be hard, as it's not like socially glorious, and then we also, you know, we get treated like that pretty often. It was interesting. I mean, my personal experience being an art teacher was like, and I quite literally got told like, kind of stay out of the way of other, like the main classes. Like, don't do too much. And I was like, cool. Like it just, there's a lot of people who, during that time, their jobs didn't feel that important. And then for mine to just be like, just don't do too much. I'm like, okay, cool. So, and then, yeah, that was very much a thing. The lack of internet and connection, quite literal connection, and connection with kids was weird. And, I only was able to reach a portion of each of my classes, and that's just what it was. I think I was accepting at the time. But yeah, like personally, like the representation was like cool. I was like, all right, cool. Like let's shine some light on like some trials that educators had to go through and maybe go through. And that sort of, not hopeless, but like that sort of effort regardless from Zoo to like try to help even though it looks like a lost cause, like that's pretty prevalent like most of the time sometimes, and so yeah, no, I like them as a character, and sticking with like the dream sequences, I really appreciated the kind of just almost like the way a memory works. There was only like necessary information. There wasn't like a full setting. It's like a small setting within this big open space. I thought was really important to communicate that this is kind of like a dreamlike, and not every detail is there, but the ones that are important, the toys laying on the ground, the piece of cake that's over here, like all of that was like intentional, I think. Yeah.
And also kind of from the onset with those moments, there's just like little glitches here or there.
Oh yeah.
And early, I didn't notice anything change when there was a glitch, but there are moments later on where it's like, oh wait, there's a glitch, and now a person's removed. It's like Ala was asking their mom a question, there's a glitch, and she's not even in the room anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting. And it was making me early on have ideas of like, oh, what is this going to be?
Same.
But
yeah,
it was
that, like intrigue.
It was effective because I thought that was kind of reinforcing Alo often just feeling really alone too, and being really hard on herself. Wanted to be a poet, and then since her Yaya has passed, is either not writing at all or immediately scratching it out, which is also very effective when that happened. Of you're getting some of a poem being written, and you get to make choices throughout it to write parts of it, and then it's just very harshly scratched out and crumpled up throughout the game.
Yeah.
I thought the poetry in the game, from both what we're interacting with and then some of those memories kind of end with very poetic text. All of that was beautiful. And I found it interesting, and just to show the power of that practice and how important it meant to Alo was like, and I can relate to, it's interesting that like she's writing in a notebook that's solely hers, and like still would like demolish, and it like it was that painful to where like really no one has to see it, but like just making it exist in general at all was painful enough to destroy it. I found to be really interesting, because like it wasn't like anyone was like watching, or like it's not being broadcasted, but the power of it in that way was interesting. And yeah, I too really liked the poetic choices. I love it. Kind of gave me like Kentucky Route Zero vibes, where like you got to like choose the tone of what you say, and sometimes it is like complete opposite meaning, but like it will still work. Choices like one specific one I really liked is like you got the choice between I couldn't promise, I could have promised, or I promised. And like that's so fun to me, because it feels like it's asking you to say how are you feeling about this particular situation, and then also inviting you to say none of these are wrong, right? Like you get to choose which one, and that in itself is, I think, pretty poetic. Yeah, same for those moments. And then I almost forgot that when you end your day too, you can make a little note about like how Alo is feeling. It'll
Oh
be like,
yeah.
I'm feeling like, sometimes it's very clear of what, here's the gradient of good to bad moments, and other times it is just like more murky and flavor and what you as a player maybe thought about what happened that particular day, or where Alo is as a
Yeah.
character after whatever conversations happened in the last 20 minutes. I really loved
Right.
those moments, helped be kind of an end cap to each day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting that like there could, you mentioned moments, and like there could be a really crummy day, and then something beautiful happens at the end of the day, or some sort of connection happens, and then you go to bed feeling a bit better, or you know, and then that's also illustrated, and like there had been some connections you make where your meter goes way up, and you're like, wow, you know, or way down, and
Yeah,
you're like,
because
no.
there's also, so there's multiple levels to that meter too. You see there's, oh, you're on like the second one out of 5 or 6. I don't even know the count. But once you get to the final one, the color of it changes and everything too. And there were a
Yeah.
couple really painful memories and conversations that made mine go down a full like level. And
Yeah.
whenever that happened
Yeah.
later in the day, I was like, oh no, I don't want to go to bed feeling like this. It's how I would be in real life too. If something crappy just happened, or I watched something really
Sure.
sad or got bad news, like I wouldn't go to bed then. I would have some
Yeah.
distraction. So that was totally time to play the little handheld mini game that you unlock or read in the windowsill.
Yeah. The reading was great. Like I could feel that. The windowsill is big, it's kind of this big wide open window that like isn't used for a variety or for the majority of the game, and then like you get to unlock it eventually, and it's, I feel it. It's like, yeah, nice and cozy up there.
Yeah, I
Get that morning light.
appreciated that typically the things that you go to interact with it, there's a little lock there. It's like, I'll try tomorrow, or I can't take a bath, the
Mhm.
plumbing is messed up.
Oh
There's
right.
either like a narrative moment where you'll get a call from Miss Noor downstairs who owns the house that you're like in an apartment of, and be like, oh, the tub's
Yeah.
fixed, meant to tell you. Or more often than not, it's something you're unpacking, whether it was Yaya's or something Zoo sent you. It's like, oh wait, I have a book now, I can read. Or
Yeah.
I've uncovered my robot toy, Adorabot, and now he can sit on this little end table and just give me like a little hit of joy whenever I interact with it. I loved
Sure.
that unraveling of things. Like,
Yeah, I agree, and I think like I think it's a kind of a testament to the structure of the game, kind of like growing through this grief that you have to, and then you have the kind of daily structure of all these, you know, eating, coffee making, working, all of those things that you check off your list essentially. Um, but like gaining more of those that help you like actively chase joy in your life, you know, or things that, you know, through a little bit of labor can make you feel better, you know, like taking care of a like a birdhouse, or you know, watering some roses, and it's just like you continue to gather those things that through practice, like almost say like, you know, like even if you're not happy all the time, you could make a choice to say this might make me feel better through practice,
yeah,
and
or
you
even
know
just for a
I can
moment
relate.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just
fair.
need 5 minutes that feel good and uplifting, or are
Yeah.
distracting sometimes.
Now you mentioned the mini game. Did you enjoy the little cat mini game
I don't know, is
handheld
it
thing?
Eco Cat, Echo Cat?
Eco Cat, Echo Cat.
So I
Yeah, I don't know.
liked
Yeah,
I liked the bit of lore surrounding this cat, where it's
same.
mentioned in a lot of memories of like, here's this plush, here's the games plural that get mentioned.
Yeah,
But the game itself then is kind of painfully simple, and I'm not
yeah. I'm
expecting it
with you
to be
there.
much. Like oftentimes whenever a game has like a tiny game within it, like this is a different vibe than the unpacking mini games you're doing and the editing mini games. You're just a little
Yeah,
cat with 3 lanes, and you're
yeah,
either staying in a lane to collect a little purple cat head, or you're moving to avoid the cockroaches. That's it.
yep.
but I loved the music. It was like
Oh
the
yeah, that's
cheeriest thing in
true.
the game. Just da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da,
it was
da,
good.
da.
And I too did not. It was an option, and I played it twice. I actually played it when it felt like a necessity. Like there were times that the game pigeonholes you into doing like everything,
Sure.
and like it was like you have to play the game. And I straight up went for a cockroach at one point because I was like, I don't like,
So, yeah,
because
I
it
did
did
that too.
painfully simple is a good way to put it, because like I did feel like I could go forever, and I was like, I don't want to. I got to like 92, and I was like,
I got
just
to
just
214.
whoa,
Because you do
amazing.
have like your old high score that I think is like 45 or something at the beginning.
Right,
So I
right,
did want to beat the high score from when you're a kid. There's an
of
achievement for
course,
that as well. Um,
yeah,
but then, yeah, after that, I either wouldn't interact with it or I would just hang out, listen to the music for a minute, and then purposely hit
sure,
a cockroach and end so I could move on.
yeah, yeah.
But one time I just did a cockroach almost immediately, and my mood went down. Every other time my mood went up, but it's
Oh,
like, oh wait, I just like messed up immediately. She didn't love that that
oh,
happened, and that the game was
oh,
then put down.
interesting,
So every
interesting.
other time I'd interact with it, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna get at least 20, and then I'm gonna hit a
Yeah,
cockroach. I'm gonna
yeah,
play a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. No, and you mentioned music. I meant to talk about this earlier with like going back to like the work editing. Did you notice like each bit of like or what, I guess like each type of video that you're supposed to edit had like a different like soundtrack to it essentially?
Yeah, I thought it was it maybe coworker based, like who you were working
Oh,
with that time,
yeah,
being the
maybe.
music. The time where it's the most different, I'm blanking on their name. Apologies, but you have one coworker who was like very rigid and strict and kind of formal and a little just odd. Like
Pe-
whenever
uh
I was talking to them, it's like,
is it
what?
Parazad?
Yeah, totally.
I
Had the
I
most
I
different
really like that
musical
character.
vibe, but then also that's some of the most difficult version of that game too, where you have just the most different options at any given time.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah.
actually I really liked, I like that character, kind of like the Yoda of the like, kind of like, yes, rigid for sure, and very very blunt. Just like, I'm gonna say what I believe because I have earned it through age or whatever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, and the the couple quotes like that I actually wrote down. I was like, okay. Um, they said, attach yourself to the love of doing, not the result. And I was like, okay, I
Yeah,
like that.
there was something like that in one of the first combos with her, where after you finish, I was like, I think that was good. Was it good? Tell me, I'm new to this. And she's just like,
Yeah,
do you think it was good or not? Like, I can't tell you about it. Like, it's about how you feel about the work you just did. I was like, oh, all
yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah. She almost reminded me of uh, like an intimidating philosopher that like always has something to say, you know, and you're just like, and you can never be like right, because they don't believe in right and wrong. It's like,
Yeah.
or like another one I wrote down was, stillness will teach you more than motion ever will. And I've been thinking about that one lately. I was like, thank you for that. That's a gift. Like, I'm gonna take. I like the way that they spoke. I found it a little comical,
Yeah.
and we've kind of touched on this, but I wanted to dig into this a little bit more too. Is like, we talked about like Alo interacting with various coworkers, and I found it, for Alo specifically, really impressive how empathetic she still was through her like tough time. Like, she's still very like, and maybe that's kind of the point of the game. Like, still like overly, almost like overly considerate of other people, or like doesn't want to upset, and obviously like new in this workplace. So, but I found it kind of empowering in my brain that she still is able to find some capacity to like be kind to other people, and not necessarily short, or like she would allow herself to like, you know, provide like a shoulder, like, here and there, or to like be helpful in that way verbally. Yeah, I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, and part of that too, I think part of it is her as a character, and then some of it is up to player choice a bit, because you can definitely be like, okay, I'm gonna try to say something helpful or give a
Sure.
character a push to ask for help or make a decision. There's specifically what comes to mind right away for me is there's a character who has a bunch of roommates, and at one point is like, they've stopped social distancing. They all just went to a party. Like, I don't feel safe
Yes.
here anymore. And you
Yes.
can encourage them to be like, hey, talk to this other person for help. Like, I don't know what the outcome
Yeah.
of that will be, but I know that they will listen to you. They might be able to help you. Maybe your housing situation can change. And if
Yeah.
you go that route, it does. It makes that character's life better. But you also don't have to give them that nudge.
Yeah. Now, no, I that was another one of those moments where I was like, ooh, like that kind of like pandemic language. Like I remember those instances of people just being like, I don't care anymore. It's like, oh man. But
Yeah.
um,
The people
one
having
thing
500-person weddings and then everybody gets sick and stuff. It's like, what are you doing? So yeah.
I know. Oh, I know. Oh my goodness. One character we haven't talked a whole lot about is Paplet.
Yeah.
This fish in the fishbowl.
Kind of the namesake of the game.
Kind of the namesake of the game, and I want to say, for me, I will say for the spoiler break, but also just kind of know like, I was relieved later, but Paplet to me was like just toxic positivity, like
Happy,
like I
happy. Yeah.
happy, don't feel, it's okay, let's distract. And like
Yeah.
I was like this, and being that this game is pitched with Paplet on the cover, and
Sure.
like you see the it's named Fishbowl. I start going like, am I missing something, or am I crazy where like I don't like this character at all? Like, and it comes to fruition. But yeah, how did you feel about like at least like early impressions of Paplet showing up?
I mean, I cringed a little bit at Paplet a couple times, but also I appreciated the introduction of the character because it
Yeah,
happens really early in after we've unpacked our first box and there's this toy
yeah,
fishbowl in it. But also it's after having the first pretty dark dream slash memory
hmm,
of Yaya no longer being in the hospital because Allo got there too late and she's passed. So
yeah,
to have this very cheery character that's making Allo question whether she's sane or not because she's talking to a toy, like having this like little uplifting little friend, um, kind of countering this deep
yeah,
depression and grief, I thought was pretty interesting and effective having early on. But then there were totally moments where it's like, oh wait, like sometimes just you gotta let Alo feel her feelings because whenever there'd be a memory that would be less than like perfectly positive, you'd be like, oh no, that was the wrong memory or what's happening. It's like, no, just let that be as it is. Not everything has to be happy, happy, perfect all the time.
yeah,
Don't
and the
wallow in the
continual
sadness for forever, but like you can have
right, and like
variety.
yeah, the continual like when that happens, like let's play, want to play? Like I was like every time I was like, no, not right now, Paplet.
I
Like
was about 50-50.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It,
Yeah,
it
and
depended on the day.
fair.
And like if other things had been going well, I'd be like, totally, yeah, let's have these bubbles
Hmm.
pop up. They're kind of fun. But especially if I had
Yeah,
just had like a hard phone call with someone, it's like, no, not right now. You hang
yeah.
out over there. I'm gonna go to the kitchen.
But I agree with you to have a an in apartment companion was nice. Especially early on. It's like, okay, so this is going to be something that like you could talk to, but could not, like I very quickly learned like could not serve you in that way where like it's got its own intentions, and personally I think needs the mystery behind it to pull you to the end of the game for sure, because like and I think in a little bit we'll get to our spoiler break and we can like really dig into our playthroughs. But I felt like there was all of this kind of setup of like your grandmother passed, you started this new job, you're alone in this apartment in a new place, so that's a great like setting. But then like with Paplet and like these dreams and all these things that start happening, you're like, what are you really trying to say? Like, what is this game really trying to say? And you know, structurally, I think it pulls you along quite nicely and motivates you to keep going and wondering more and more like what is the narrative here, to where like it's like I said, I think it did nicely pulled me to the end, and I'm being careful because I don't want to say too much for those that have not played yet.
Yeah, well, so for me to kind of like wrap up, for me to pack my final thoughts before we move into spoiler territory.
Pack it up.
Like overall, I think this is a great game. I was talking a little bit earlier about finding some of the inconsistency and button prompt stuff a little bit grating. And really that's the thing that contributed to holding this back from being like a 10 to me.
Sure.
Because especially as we are unlocking stuff, which like is nice flavor and like really cool narratively sometimes, that lasts like a week or so in game as you're playing a course of a month, there's just so many things that you don't have to interact with, but especially if you're trying to have a playthrough like mine of like gearing towards good vibes, then you do sort of have to interact with most of it to maintain that. And it really it pads the time of the game in a way that I think becomes less effective over time. My playthrough was 9.3 hours, and I think if this game was more like 7 hours, if it was just a little tighter, it would be even better, because those are just the things that kind of like slow down or get in the way of all of the really special character stuff, story things, unpacking grief, learning about generational trauma and everything. All of that stuff is very good. So the more and more that is in the gaps between, it's just less.
I wouldn't even be like mad about like the same calendar, but maybe we jump a few days, you know, and it rewards you with like that feeling of like, because I remember talking throughout the week and we kind of going back and forth of like, well, I have like a week and 3 days left, and like in my brain I was like, okay, like in some of those days I was just like, okay, coffee and very mundanely like going through the motions. And you know, it's like, are we supposed to feel that? Are we supposed to like feel that endurance of like grief like will continue to show up, and this kind of like thing that made me happy yesterday might not make me happy today, or like eye roll when I have to do that again. Like, I don't know. There are some things in my life where I'm like, like I thought laundry was done, but it's never done.
It's never
like,
done. I have way too much to do later.
Same. And so, and I think that's testament to life itself. It's like it goes on, and you know, some days are good, some days are hard, some days are everything in between, some days are boring. And but I do agree with you structurally of the game, and I can't I'm sure my playtime is like 20 plus hours, because I have a newborn at home, so I would like
Lots
leave
of
it
idle
open.
Time. Yeah.
Lots of idle time for Alo, sitting in the apartment just waiting to be moved. The music will forever be in my head. That boom, 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 because I had left it on and I just like heard it in the background for like hours. But I was like, I'm not gonna do anything about that right now.
That's funny.
But yeah. But I'm with you there. Like the time and that feeling how much of the game that you have consumed, and then seeing, I do appreciate a timeline, like a calendar of sure. Like this is how long. But there were times where I was like, okay, like let's see how many days I can get through in this session.
And for me,
so yeah,
looping back to the button prompt stuff, if all of that was gone, It would
Oh,
shave a lot of time. Like, or if
yeah,
it was very focused, if it, because it's already not everything. Uh, if we just don't
yeah.
have to do button prompts on the toilet and stuff, like keep maybe the kitchen things, having the
Yeah,
dishwashing, the making coffee, brushing teeth, but then like strip it away from a lot of other stuff. You're not doing that
or
10
maybe
or 20 times a day for 30 days, and like that alone just will shave off over an hour really easily in a way that I think would be beneficial.
yeah, maybe so here's where the cloud meter could really work in their favor is maybe as you start to feel better about your life or like better in general, like toothbrush is like one click, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
like
that could be cool too.
do you know what I mean? Like it's like it depended on like how good you feel,
Yeah, because if I'm in a
or
bad mood, I really don't want to do dishes. Make it 20
right,
prompts or something, and then if I just
right.
want to listen to a podcast and clean stuff, yeah, it could just be one or two. That would be an interesting way to tackle it as well.
I think that'd be cool, and I think that would shave time and then reward you for like putting in the work to, you know, I guess get yourself into a good place where, and I think uh, illustrative of like how you might feel, like you said, like being low and then having to brush your teeth, having to take care of yourself, putting button prompts in the way hurts. Like it makes those activities more painful. But then like, you know, if I got a sprout above my head, yeah, I'm just like just brushing my teeth, just doing my thing, and like the day feels automatic. And then maybe through, you know, saving that time, it tightens the game a little bit, or maybe opens up opportunity for another. I don't know if it needs more story beats, but like, you know, yeah, I don't know. That's a fun thing to contemplate. But do you think now's a good time to spoiler break?
Sure. Well, okay, one final mention, because I feel like I need to mention it.
Please,
I did have technical
please.
difficulties. There's going to be a day one
Oh, right.
patch. We
Yeah.
don't really know much about it, just that they already know about some bugs, particularly in the video editing game, which I never encountered, and some collisions
No.
and dream sequence issues and stuff. So things are going to be fixed for kind of everybody else. But I had
Yeah.
3 crashes, and I
Yeah.
had one day where suddenly I just couldn't interact with anything. And there's specific story moments where that will
Ugh.
happen, where it's like, okay, you just woke up in the middle of the night, you can only go to your desk to try to write, or you could only do XY thing.
Oh, right.
This was just, oh no, I'm
Right.
just in the middle of a normal day, and suddenly I can't have water, I can't water the plants, I can't do laundry, and the checklist is still like, here's these like 5, 6 things you haven't done. I'm like, literally interact. I can't interact with them, and I saved, I quit,
Yeah.
and everything. I came back in. It's like, nope, this day is just kind of broken, and then the next day
Yeah.
was fine.
It's like, what do you want me to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Um,
hard. And especially, and you said towards the end too, where you're getting a ton of narrative momentum and you just want to know.
in the final
And it's
15
like,
minutes is when I
oh,
had 2 of the 3 crashes. So there's all of these emotions,
yeah.
and then uh, error twice. So I think that maybe soured things a
Yeah.
little bit for me at the very end too. It's just unfortunate moments.
Yeah. It's abrupt. And yeah, that is a bummer. And yeah, I only had, I had one, or I think I had like one or two during the, like unpacking. Like I did a combination that the game didn't like, I think, and was like, ah, nope. And then it would shut down, and then I would, thankfully, auto saved like right before that, and just would try again.
Sure. With
Um,
the crashes, I
and I
probably
think those are the
missed 5 minutes of gameplay that I had to redo. So at least that was good.
oh
But
yeah, that's still hard though, like especially with some momentum. So yeah, yeah, like we said, patches coming, and so on. And one final note too, I'll say I've been kind of following our peers on social media out at PAX, and it looks like they're having a good time out there.
yeah,
A lot of people getting eyes on the game and playing it. So happy to celebrate that too. That's pretty cool.
yeah. And also just
All right.
congrats on the release of the game. If I Miss My Friend's Studio
Yeah.
happens to ever see or hear this, I know you're a couple that have been
Yeah.
together for a long time, making a creative
Yeah.
project together. It's very cool. So congrats on
Yeah.
hitting
Yeah.
release day.
Cheers. And like, yeah, like that's so that first game, and looks like it's getting some eyes on it and some hands on it, and yeah, congratulations on making something powerful. All right, so Chris and I, as we talked throughout the week, we said we definitely need a spoiler break because like we just want to share our thoughts on our playthroughs.
It's funny. We're like,
and
we don't need spoilers for this, and then by the time we beat the game, it's like, oh wait, yeah, we do.
Oh, we do. It's just. I think we want to enjoy this conversation in a way that's in a pocket of like, this is rare that we get to like play the same game and then talk about like specifics. So at this moment in time, we will have a spoiler break and say that going forward, we are going to talk about our playthroughs specifically, maybe some things that happened throughout, and especially at the end. I'd say probably the last maybe half hour of the game really comes to a point. So starting now, we're jumping in. All right, Chris. Let's jump maybe to the end where like I want to know. I think the big thing I want to know is like you get to this point where you get to choose like your profession essentially, right? Like I'm trying to remember, like be a poet, help out at the tea shop, or accept the job that you have.
Yeah, those were also the three options I could accept because it showed others grayed out of like, the copywriting job sounds good. I was like, what? I never even heard about a copywriting job.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So there's that.
Wow.
You could say that you're like struggling with the job and like don't feel like you can or should continue, seems to be one of the options. And then there was also one about wanting to do like a boot camp or class or something to like improve your skills. So I hypothesize if some of that is from having a cloud, and if some of that is also from just struggling with the mini game. Like if you're just not getting very good scores, it might allow you to take a different option. If like I need help, I can't really take this job yet, I'm not good enough, sort of vibe.
Yeah, I was curious of that because I noticed when I would do really good on a mini game session, I would receive praise, and then when I'd miss a couple, especially Parazad would be like, did you do good? Like we said. But which occupation out of the choices that you were able to choose, which one did you go with?
So this is also one that I'm like slightly critical about late game story.
Hit it.
I feel like so much of it was like, it's never too late to dream. It's never too late to pursue your dreams. Like you can totally be a poet. You can write, like do that. And part of me wanted to select that. Even if my headcanon's like, well, quitting your job to write doesn't make a lot of sense in a pandemic. But at that point in the game, I still hadn't successfully written anything without scratching it out. So it felt like that wasn't actually an option for Allo, or at least my iteration of Allo. It's like, oh no, like it'll literally let me select that. But how can I tell someone I want to pursue being a poet when I'm not writing anything? So
right.
I was like, okay, this is a job with really amazing, open, helpful people. There's a great support system here. They're switching to a 4-day work week, and you can still learn to write on the side and quit in a year if you want. So I was like, yes, I will accept the junior editor job, please and thank you.
Cool. I did the same thing, and for me, this was another like kind of personal journey that I attached to it. I never thought I would become an art teacher. Like I wasn't a zoo as a kid where like teaching everybody or trying to help or I selfishly like wanted to, pursue. I started in graphic design, and that just I wasn't good at it.
There's still art involved in that?
There is, yeah. So I started in graphic design, and I just wasn't great. And then like I was like, okay, so I need to switch majors, and then I did. And then I became an art teacher, and that was just really natural. Like it's something I was pretty good at, and was like, okay, like, and I consistently I'm like, but I didn't do like, what does it say? Like those that can't teach, and it's like I hate that, but like I can feel that sometimes. So all that to be said, like I felt that like crossroad of like, oh, I didn't go into illustration like I thought I would. I didn't do, I didn't follow my dream, essentially, quote unquote. And I saw it like pointing in that direction. And I'm with you that like, a career is important. Like you need to have like some stability, you know. And I'm with you that like in the game I really enjoyed the job. I enjoyed the people, and so you know it is that kind of like asking you to like choose like stability and like the clear like option, or like truly dig in and like follow your dream or whatever. And I think it's interesting that like my gut reaction was like, oh, be practical. And you know, and it's that mixed with like the story of Jaja and Alo's mother. We come to find out that like Jaja had promoted her to like, or not promoted, encouraged her to like not follow her dreams, and like needed help at the tea shop. Yeah, so it's a really interesting conversation, and I with you too that like I also didn't feel like I was prepared to be a poet, having not written anything successfully like most of the game.
If they had let me do it for 2 days before making that decision, I might have made that choice. But I didn't get to until I think the last day.
Or maybe some sort of connection to a publisher randomly, or you know, like
if we had actually like, participated in the poetry showcase thing that we've gotten letters about, like even just that, if like, oh wait, I did that, like the spark is back.
And that there is opportunity, not just I'm going into this blind and quitting my job.
Yeah.
Like that is like stable and like dependent on your success with the mini game. Like you are pretty successful at, so like it was kind of a no-brainer to me. And I am curious if there are folks out there that would have chosen the tea shop and why, you know, like really familial people, I think maybe might, you know, or maybe folks that were not good at the mini game that were like, well, I'm going to hop into the family business. Like, I don't know.
I wish this choice came.
It was interesting.
Actually, like at the end, like if we have this phone call with Zoo and Kia, and we wake up and it's our birthday, and we have not even a final full day that you play, but you wake up and then you get the call and it's time to make that decision. I think that also would have potentially guided me a little bit differently. But I was appreciative that I had already been like, okay, I'm locked into keeping this job. But after that, in conversations with them and with Rosa, still say like, oh, I'm gonna try writing though. Like I'm still gonna try to do this on the side. Because it felt like it was an either or when you're actually picking the text you want to pursue. So I'm glad it wasn't a fully you're never gonna write again kind of moment.
Yeah, like I'm an art educator, but I'm here doing this podcast, and I've been committed to that for a while. Like, and so it's like it's possible. Like, you don't have to just be one thing or the other. And it did kind of feel pigeonholed. And so before I forget, I pinned this in my head for this section. You had mentioned earlier at the end of each day, you kind of like get to like write something down. I really, really wish the game would have collected those and shown you at the end. Like,
that would have been fun.
Like just a nice like to kind of maybe see like the waves of your journey
you were going on.
Or like if you're flipping through a journal and it's like, here's what you chose. That I was almost expecting it, as I like chose each day, but not to be shown there, unfortunately. But so like in spoiler territory here, we mentioned Paplet earlier. Yeah, right. I finally felt really, really good when Alo is like, you are the problem, Paplet. Like, you never understand anything, even when I'm trying to tell you. And I was like, yes. I was just happy that like I didn't feel nuts, or I was misunderstanding, but I was like, okay, this is intentional.
Yeah, and having more of those moments of like, I can't write. Like, you can keep telling me 3 days in a row, like, we got to write. It's like, I can't write now. Those moments, and then once we do just like full on get the reveal, of kind of who it was. Like it's sort of Allah's
Yeah.
inner child is actually who we're talking
Yeah.
to. Uh,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I was kind of. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I thought it was both
I.
a bit
I.
murky uh, for that
Yeah.
to be the vibe, but I did like when we were walking through this darkness and collecting light. I was lighting it every time, not dimming it. And having this moment of like, oh
Yeah.
wait, like there's like a part of myself kind of living within me, and it's gotten
Mm,
really dark. I'm gonna try to
yeah.
make it more light more often. I liked that, and then the reveal of like, oh, that's also kind of who we've been talking to was like interesting, but a little off for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It because they revealed that like it kind of wants to be both your inner child and this like specific toy that like that like well I think I say specific toy because it was like uh, in that very like traumatic moment of like the probably one of the biggest if not the biggest arguments that Jaja and your mom have
Yeah.
is when you like were given that toy. So you hear them fighting and like throwing and breaking things and yelling in the other room, and that's where this behavior happened early. Is that sort of um like this is bad. Let's distract ourselves by playing. So create bubbles inside of your blanket fort. Okay, do it again. Let's play. So then I went, oh, okay, there's the behavior. Like the behavior of Paplet is like, things are bad. No, they're not. Let's just play. Let's just make bubbles. And I went, oh, okay, it's a trauma response. Is basically what had been created. And that one that I think of anything in the game hit me so hard of like, yeah, like we create these behaviors to cope or to process or distract, and some of them can really stick with us, into adulthood. And yeah,
I mean,
I felt it. I felt that one for sure.
to uh, get personal for a moment in this spoiler area too.
Yeah,
Uh,
please. Yeah.
Maybe I need to unpack some things because of what you just said too. Of growing up when I was
Sure.
especially little, my parents were together at that point, and our basement was where we would play. Like we didn't have much in our rooms, my sister and I. We didn't have consoles in our rooms. Like we'd play games in the basement, and most of our toys would be in the basement.
Yeah.
But I have a
Yeah.
memory of not long before the divorce where our parents are having an
Mm.
argument. My sister and I are like kind of rushing downstairs slash like forced to go downstairs, and my dad
Mm.
slams the door behind us so hard that it cracks the door, and then the door was like that
Wow.
for the long like for the rest of the time in that house. And in thinking about that
A
now, it wasn't
reminder.
just like having that constant reminder, but I was like, oh, it probably wasn't very long after that where I moved a PlayStation 1 into my room, and my sister had the GameCube in her
Mm.
room, and we're in the basement less.
Mm.
And we're sometimes still together playing, but we're also like isolated more in our recreation things, and we're not in the basement anymore. So, yeah,
Wow.
let's unpack
Think, think,
there.
totally. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that's hard. And yeah, I can certainly relate. And my reason and entry into video games was very similar. Like I unfortunately was in a household that was full of a lot of argument and verbal aggression. And in my sister and I in our rooms is where we found refuge in video games. We played all sorts of games, and it unfortunately is when things get hard. I gotta play video games. I need to play a game, and like also something that I continue to unpack through therapy and recognize as it's definitely a coping mechanism. But it's games can provide that sort of like beautiful distraction and way of but it can get to that point of like, oh, like, is my response to that like just doing that, or like, is this the core of it? And unfortunately, yeah, that's it. So yeah, but again, thank you for sharing. I know that's tough, but
No problem.
but yeah, and these are very real things that happen to people, and to illustrate that in a game and kind of show it as a form of behavior. It's interesting because Alo doesn't necessarily act that way. Like, she's very, very much drowning in the hardship of losing her grandmother, and so she's not naturally just going like, I'll cope with this, I'll do this. We're kind of like as players trying to like push her to that, or at least like seeking joy. And my train of thought with that, I'm starting to lose.
That's okay.
I guess it's like, oh, the like inviting. I really, really, really enjoyed the kind of like, let's invite that child to adulthood. Let's show them that it's safe to be here, right? And that kind of ending remark of the Paplet just kind of becomes the little girl, like a little version of Alo on the desk. I was like, that's it. Like, that's like, and then the language about finding light and creating light in the darkness by inviting that childness and inviting that joy was like, really, that was it. Like, that's some strong stuff.
Yeah, that stuff hit hard. And even just while we're in this period, late game family
Yeah.
things, like when we find the letter underneath the phone from our grandmother that is like, hey, I messed up. Like, I made your mom drop her dream,
Yeah.
drop her career, live a life she didn't want to live, and I've regretted
Mm.
it for years and just don't have
Mm.
the courage or strength within me to really address that and apologize in a big way. And I'm sorry for
Yeah.
dumping this on you via a letter when I know I'm probably no longer around, but here
Yeah.
you go. And then the phone call, the very emotional, with
Oh,
pixel tears and everything between Alo and Rosa was like, that was
yeah.
the hardest hitting emotional point in the game for me, was that phone call, about like, oh,
Yeah.
I actually have all of your newspaper clippings and stuff. I didn't know what they were, and your mom really cared about this. Like, she held on to all of this for you, and you just never knew
Yeah.
for like 20 years that all of this was still here, and we've pieced together the trophy that you broke in that argument and everything. Like,
Sure.
all that was a lot. Uh, and like
Yeah.
really made me feel for both characters and the family as a
Mm-hmm.
whole. But
Mm-hmm.
then it provided me with some positivity heading into the end of like, oh wait, like we're actually having these conversations now. We're relating to each
Yeah.
other in a different way. Like, Ala is an adult, and you're finally
Yes.
talking about all of this, which also
Yeah.
made me think of having conversations with my parents about stuff that happened 20, 30 years ago that they would ignore forever. It's like, oh no, we're finally at a point where we can just like, this is all in the open air now. We can talk about it whenever.
Oh, that's beautiful. Good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, and that, you're right, and that is healthy, and that, to be respected as an adult, not just the kid. Yes, you're always like their child, but like, to be able to talk about it maturely, I thought was really, really beautiful to see. And then, up to have Jaja be like a three-dimensional character where like up to that point she could do no wrong in Alo's eyes, and to know that, I think I too, as a player of this game, look to her as like this beacon of like, she, like, Jaja always had like beautiful things to say about, like, had really good life perspective and was very helpful and cultivating of, independence in Alo, and like very helpful, right? But to see the like, no one can escape life. I think, I guess, is what I really found solace in that, like, even this character that I put on a pedestal and the game does still had things that they were going through and still had difficulty and still like wanted control over like her daughter's future. And that was really, really interesting and just kind of helpful, I think, to me. I like that media in general is starting to do that, where it's not just like one trope character does this thing, period. No, it's like, no, we're all humans, and we make mistakes too. So that was nice.
And just talking so much about the family, something that I don't think they needed to go into, and they didn't, but I was curious about for a while. Like, I thought maybe it was going to be related to the darkness and everything. Alo's dad. Like, he isn't mentioned for a very long time, and then it's kind of like he's not around, and then finally he died. Clearly when Alo was very, 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 very young. And it's like, oh, is that actually going to be another thing we secretly need to unpack? Like, you're thinking about your grandmother who died and was a guardian to you, but she was a guardian to you as much as she was because you had a parent die who wasn't there. And they don't really go into that at all, or grandpa not being around. And it's not that they needed to. That's not what this story was. It's not what Alo had to unpack. But I was curious about it for a while. I was like, oh, wait, is the dad actually going to be a key part of this in the end? And it's like,
that would have sucked if he just like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Like, just shows up at your doorstep or something. Like, oh, that would, no.
I thought, one of my theories for a bit was that the kind of glitchy moments was like, oh, wait, here's a moment he would have been in. And he's not.
Oh.
Like, that was one thing,
fair.
early game brain I had. And,
okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if I like assumed that there would be, like, I just like kind of was like, okay, he's the presence of a dad just like isn't happening in this story. And then like they mention it, and then it was like, boom, this is what happened, and it was hard. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was a bit unexpected, and
they gave just enough, because that then helped make sense of the decision of like, you can't be pursuing this perceived dangerous, not paying enough career. You need to be here for your kid. And if there were two living parents around, would have been stressed less. Like, maybe she could have kept doing that and wouldn't have been hearing from her mom constantly, like, you need to leave this career, help me at the tea shop.
Yeah. And it's, so the implications are definitely there. I think if I can, let me see, there's a couple like specific quotes that I want to pull and just really like say that like that hit me like in that last 20 minutes. One being that like Alo talking to, I think it was talking to Paplet, or the younger version. I mean, Paplet is, I guess, the younger version.
Yeah.
Is that I don't hate myself. I'm just trying to understand myself. Like, that one was really big. Like, it's like this societal pressure that like doesn't allow people to feel sad or like be upset. It's like just, and like Paplet can represent that, like, just get better, like, cheer up, like that kind of like attitude, because our negative feelings can affect other people, but it's like life can be hard. So it was nice to have Alo like express that, and then and kind of have that like self-realization. And then I think another one that I really liked was in that kind of similar moment was it's younger Alo's younger self saying, this dark is my home, I live here and you made it for me.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm not going to play the game again for 9.3 hours, but I am curious. No. It's like, oh, what would that moment have been like if I was dimming all of the lights along the way instead of lighting them? If I was having more, if I was giving into the despair more throughout the game, and in that lead up specifically, like how differently would that a conversation have felt?
Sure. Yeah. And like, I know, I know a few of our peers also received codes and have played this game. And like, I want to shout and say, like, if y'all have played, like, let me know, let us know, because we're curious. Like, I'm curious of like what other
took
people's
things very differently
playthroughs were like.
What did that do?
Yeah, right. Like, it's it's interesting that there are that kind of branching differences. And just, it sounds like you and I interpreted the game and kind of played it fairly similarly. But if someone was like so on the other side of it, like obviously the narrative beats are still the same probably, but like the outcome, I am curious of like what that looks like.
Yeah. Because also potentially having different outcomes, phone calls.
Yeah.
Like early on, we're just accepting
Oh,
calls,
right.
and then eventually it's like, oh wait, like I haven't been calling people. I haven't been calling friends for a long time. I'm always on the receiving end. And from that
Mm-hmm.
moment, I then, not just when prompted via a text to make a phone call, but I was then calling or trying to call regularly. You can't call everybody every day or every time. It's like, so and so's busy. Kia doesn't have a phone right now. Um, but
Yeah.
being more forward with seeking communication and help instead of just kind of letting it come to you. I wonder if the game would have
Yeah.
let me not do that at all, and then what that would look like. Like if you were just talking with people significantly less, how would
Yeah.
that shape the ending, and particularly the final friend
Yeah.
phone call? Because one of my favorite kind of through lines throughout the game and those relationships is a promise to try. Like I just love that these
Uh,
three, since they were kids, they're like, we promise we're going to do this thing, or we promise we're going to try to do this thing. We're going to try to see this comet at the same
yes.
time in 14 years and then do it again. Like, I really love a promise to try, but I wonder if
Beautiful.
I just wasn't talking to those people very much, if I still would have been able to end on like making another promise like that or not. Because that was
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts of the
Yeah.
kind of conclusion was like, oh yeah, the three of us, we promise to try. We can't guarantee we're going to succeed, and that's okay, but like, we're going to
Sure.
do what we can to be together
Yeah.
again in 14 years.
Yeah, I love that. And it kind of takes the pressure off of a friendship, like where no one can control completely what happens in their life or the amount of connection you have with somebody else. But to be like, well, we will try. We promise that we will try is like a nice way of respecting each other, knowing that like they all might have different paths and end up in different places in 14 years, because 14 years is a
Long time.
tremendous amount of time. Yeah, it's a very long time, and a lot of things can happen. So um, that's it's really. I agree that was really nice. But yeah, like what if that are did any of you play and that didn't happen? Like
Yeah.
what? And then in response, what did happen? Let us be indulgent in that, and kind of uh, through your playthrough gain a little more knowledge of the game. Would be pretty cool. Almost like I don't know if you ever played like Detroit Become Human.
I have not.
It's so that is a game that has like branching narratives based on choices, and you can, after you have played the game, you can go back to the tree and be like, specific point, be like, I want to play from here, and then say something else and see what happens. Not that I would wish that upon I Miss My Friends Studio to code that, and like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not that is not necessary at all. So, but yeah, any other like final things we want to talk about the game and spoilers? And I feel really good about this conversation, and I'm thankful to have had it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the high level feelings and spoiler stuff for me has been said, but one moment that is still spoilery that I want to talk about a little bit, just
yeah,
because we've talked
sure,
about you are a teacher,
yeah.
the fundraiser, the like
Oh yeah,
zoo fundraiser, because I thought that was both a very cool character moment of when she's like, wait, other people have been trying to help too. Like, I thought I was alone in this, getting all these rejections, but no, there's other teachers and staff that are also trying to do something. So then coming
yeah,
together, and I did call everybody to be like, hey, will you pop online on Friday to help with this fundraiser, including Satara and
yeah.
everything? Like, I talked to everybody. Um, and then that leads to them blowing past their funding goal. And I loved the little kids in the chat, and then
Really?
they're, oh yeah. And I loved the little kids in the chat even being like, "Whoa, wait! Like Satara's here! Oh my god, huge fan kind of vibe." Like it's just a really fun, uplifting moment of like community coming together, which is also kind of a theme of the game of like you don't need to be by
Yeah,
yourself. Like you can accept help, you can help others too. But
yeah. You can make that choice.
how did that fundraiser scene go for you, and what did you just like feel about it in general?
Okay, so like That's okay. So we found a difference in our playthroughs here. That's amazing. Okay, so one, I want to say I loved that there were a couple instances like the birthday call to like one of your coworkers, or no, not birthday, but like last day like call, I think, to one of your coworkers. Did you get that?
I maybe missed it.
Oh, okay. There was okay. There's a particular coworker that like maybe because I encouraged them to like move on or something, or like
Oh
help
yeah,
out
she
with
totally leaves to help with her brother.
yeah,
If we're talking
and
about
there
the same
so
person, yeah. But I didn't have like a
yeah
final call or moment with her.
so I had like a final call with them, and like everybody from work was on the call.
Oh, okay.
And
Never mind.
like
That totally did happen.
okay,
I forgot. It wasn't like a personal one-on-one. It was like, oh no, the company is hanging
it
out
was
for a
the
moment.
company, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I think my point being that like I liked that those moments alongside this like fundraiser were like a bit of an evolution of the structure of the game, where you're so used to just having like the one-on-one conversations that were very like clearly like you knew what to expect, but then to like evolve it into like this live stream where like students are showing up and saying things, I was like, oh, this is lovely. Like this is a different version of what is happening in the game. And yeah, I totally related to like the kids being like, they can't see you, stupid. Like, like
Yeah.
I was like, yep, that's very much like student culture. And then like the apology, or like the one kid that chimes in is like, play, or like Zoo was like, please like be kind in like explaining. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's a thing. So I maybe I was like self-centered in Alo's process. I didn't call anybody about I didn't call anybody about the fundraiser,
You didn't
mainly
tell
because like
anyone about it?
I didn't tell anyone. I forgot, or I think I forgot or didn't know that I like could, because the phone wasn't too much of a like proactive thing. It was more of like a reactive.
Sure.
Like people are calling me, and no, I don't know if I like breezed through that conversation with Zoo, like truly being a bad friend. Like I was role playing, like I was I was being that bad friend. I didn't call anybody, and it was unsuccessful. It didn't blow past the goal. So that's interesting. Like, and it was kind of like like me as Alo being kind of late to the, well, not very helpful, but then also just being like, you did what you could, Zoo. Like I guess we tried, and thank you for everybody that gave it a go. And like, yeah, I think the meter was like a quarter full. Like I didn't, and it's all my fault, Chris. Like,
It's all your fault. The game was right. It's all your fault.
It is.
It's
It is all my
you.
fault.
Yeah,
that's right. Now I'm gonna every time I go to sleep, I'm gonna see that. Like I should have called. Paplet's gonna haunt me. Yeah, no, that's fun. Okay, so there we go.
So yeah, for me,
we found it.
They kind of like doubled their goal at least. There's like 400 plus people on the stream eventually. Alo comments like,
Wow.
oh, like everybody showed. Like, I think there's maybe
Yeah.
even coworkers you don't call, but just having talked to everybody else, like they pop into it. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like this big. We're all coming together. We're raising a ton of money, and then the kids are commenting on like, oh wait, like. Do we get to like keep doing stuff now? It's like, oh, well, you got to stay home still, but yes, you're staying in school though.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a good moment.
So I think kind of based on like what we talked about earlier, I do think then, because I told you like the phone never felt proactive, and anytime I would go to call somebody, it would say like, oh, they're busy, or I'll call them later, or like I can't. And I'm wondering if like that's a part of like my meter not being like full enough,
Mhm.
or like having not done enough to like have the courage to call somebody, to where almost like we talked about earlier, like how there's you'd get choices and like you could only choose one even though there was two. It almost felt like Zoo probably invited me to call, and then I would try to call, and it was like, I can't, I won't bother them right
So
now.
for me, there was still some of that. Like there were certain days when only specific
Okay.
characters I couldn't talk to. There was at least one where it's like, oh no, like I'm
Sure.
not allowed to call anybody in this particular moment. But sometimes it'd be like, oh, I want to call my mom right now. Like I just unpacked a thing I think is
Yeah.
important, and it says, oh, she's busy. But then 2 minutes later, she just calls me. So like I had a couple of those moments
Yeah.
too. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's just really okay. So
Listen,
the
I'm laughing
fundraiser
because
is a
I'm
failure.
like,
But what happened after that? Like, what was Zoo like after that? Was she a little more defeated? Were there conversations about like things are falling apart? Like, how did that kind of
no,
proceed?
no, it proceeded in the way of like it. Well, first of all, I want to say it was funny that I just tried to excuse myself by like being like the game didn't let me call. I wholeheartedly probably forgot like and just wasn't helpful. So I want to say that out loud.
It could have been both.
But then yeah, right. It really kind of ended in a way that was like not. It's like taking the loss, but like happy that she at least tried.
Okay.
You know, like we still like raised some money, and then it did talk about like some of the students that like really needed help were able to obtain it through that. So like not
a total
every
loss.
student
Someone was
able
still getting assistance.
not
okay.
yes. So and then actually, yeah, I do remember that like some of the kids said like a specific name, like oh that means that person could like get internet access now, or like that's so cool. So like the kind of forced optimism of it, but also like we tried and we did something. No, we didn't meet our goal, but like something happened. And I think I'm trying to remember if Zoo wasn't like mad necessarily or blamey. She just kind of was like, all right, moving on, at least from what I recall. And again, I think I was so very focused on like Alo that I like just over my head forgot, and kind of missed that storyline. And that's something I need to unpack like a little bit. Could be a little more a part of the community, but yeah, well done. All right, I'm happy we found at least one fork.
Yeah,
where
one
like
core
we
thing
both had
where we had kind of opposite results.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think unfortunately I'm reaching my time. Is there any other like last little bit? I mean, I obviously I would say I encourage people to play this game and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, it's an easy recommendation with just kind of the little caveat of it's really going to go into grief and loss of a loved one. So if that's something that anybody in particular can't handle for 8 to 12 hours right now, like keep this on the back burner, have it on your wish list, but maybe don't play it right now.
Sure.
But aside from that,
and I would say
it's pretty fantastic.
And like you said earlier, like Alo is not very kind to herself.
Yeah.
So that's like the kind of self-blame is prevalent here, and was not super difficult for me, but there are times where I was like, "Ooh," like, yep, I feel that. So another fair warning. But yeah, Chris, this has been really wonderful, and I appreciate you joining me. And hopefully in the future we'll find another game we can meet up and chat about again. Do you want to plug real quick? I meant to do this earlier, but like
fine.
what you do and what what you do and stuff. Where people can find you.
My tiny corner of the internet is called Honest Indies, where I play indie games, and I have a podcast where I interview any indie developers. So the same day this releases, I also have another episode out talking to Sherveen, who has a game in early access called Mid-Autumn that people should also check out. And is also a very special game about Asian diaspora made by a small team and has some things that kind of relate to Fishbowl here and there. But I just hope you check things out on Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube. There's a free Patreon because I have different video and written things pretty much weekly. Some weeks it's 3 or 4 things. Sometimes it's more like a week and a half before I put something out, depending on my own personal life and how much I am or I'm not watering myself. But it's been really fun just getting to highlight indie games and talk to developers about themselves and their work.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I will send me links, and I will include links in the show notes so you can find all of Chris's work there. And with that, I will say again, thanks for joining me, and looking forward to our continued conversations about cool games. And I think that's it.
I'm going to promise
Take
to
care.
try to have a good rest of my day.
Let's promise to try. Cheers to that. Thanks, Chris.
Later. Yeah, that was good.